Okay, well, good evening all, and this is part 4, and the moment has finally arrived. Curiosity has got the better of me. I've borrowed the play relay out of my Rock-Ola and stuck it in here, so hopefully that should do the trick. It's time to try and power it up and see what, if anything, it does. Last time this was switched on was getting on for 10 years ago, and if I remember rightly, there was a fluorescent strip light on the front that came on, and I think that was about it. But a lot can change in 10 years, and it's had some work done on it. I honestly haven't tried plugging this in yet. I don't know what's going to happen. It's either going to blow a fuse, make a smell, might even do something, who knows. But I have the plug right here. We have a socket. In for a penny, in for a pound. Let's see what it does. We have a light. No funny smells. I wonder if anything's lit up on the top. Nothing. Not a thing. Yeah. I don't know if that's good or not. Better than a bad smell, I suppose. Oh. It scans. And if you put it into operate, it's trying. It gets so far in the operate and then stops. I think I know what that is. That'll be the circuit tracker along the carriage here for the reading right out. There's like a little homing wiper, and you can pretty much guarantee that's probably stuck once we're cleaning. I haven't got as far as messing with the credit unit yet. We'll just try flicking one of these little switches on the right out and see if it'll do something. Oh, it's moving. It's spinning. I think that's all it's going to do. Yeah, it's been around twice now and nothing's happened. So we'll turn that off. Yeah. So if I put it back to, yeah, it's just going to keep searching and searching. It's not finding it. So I think the next thing to do, as I predicted, I think we're going to have a really good go at these contact wipers down here and give that a proper clean out, because that's going to be the reason it's not selecting, I bet. If we're unlucky, it could be something like a stuck solenoid or something like that, but I think we'll go for the contacts first and see what happens. But hey, it's not made a bad smell, and it did respond to me flicking one on switches, so that's a good start. I'm happy with that. Yeah, it looks quite nice with the light on. As you can see, there's nothing going on the display, there's no lights have come on. However, there does appear to be some life in the credit unit, as there is an add credit button down here, and if I flick this little add credit switch, you can hear it just clicked. That means that little cog inside has gone round a notch, which has added some credits. And as you can see, it's in German, but that's the little light that tells you to make a selection. So, first button, let's go for 1. As you can see, first number selected. Let's try another number. Second number selected. Now the third number should lock this, the latch bar should come across and the button should stay in. And it does. You can see it's in. But nothing's actually happening. And you can reset that. And if I put in a wrong number, like if I start with a 3, see that's warning you to reset and make another selection. So that's about all it's doing at the moment. As I said, it's a good start. I'm happy with that. We'll do some tinkering and see if we can get more life out of it. So as predicted, I thought the write-in and readout system was going to be a source of issues with all these exposed electrical contacts. I think what I'm going to do, first thing to try, obviously we've got some sort of life coming out the credit unit and the selection buttons. but I'm not going to concentrate on that first. I'm going to work on the principle of making a manual selection by flicking a pin and getting the reading side of it, which is this side of it, working. That's the side that's attached to the carousel and the little contact wipers there. So I'm thinking if I can clean those contacts up a bit, and well, the track and the contacts, once that's cleaned up, it stands a chance of once I hit one of the pins manually, it should make a selection. We'll give that a try. So that's the section we're dealing with. If I just get in close, I think a little bit of fine emery underneath all those contact wipers and a good going over of the track itself. That should solve a lot of the problems, hopefully. Let's give it a go. Right, let's get those things nice and wet again. I've got a little bit of emery here. Let's get that wet as well. I'm thinking if I can just pass that underneath the contact wipers and then just give it a bit of a scrape. Don't want to take too much off if I can avoid it, but hopefully it's just enough to do the job. Now this outer one, I believe, is the homing wiper, and if it's juddering, you saw it running, when you put the carousel into scan mode, it scans, no problem, but if it's left up to its own devices when it's on the operate cycle, it seems to stutter and have issues going round, and that's because of a dirty track on this homing wiper, as the scan switch bypasses the circuit that runs the power through this bit. So I think that's going to be our problem. So just give that a bit hard to get at. Put some power on it. Lecky on. Right. So we'll put it into operate. Look at that. That's more like it. The motor's not going around for whatever reason. But that's actually doing something now. And it homes. And there was no juddering. I must have left one of the pins down. I didn't realise I had. But if it selected something, there must have been a pin down. This is actually looking really good now. Don't know why the platter wasn't going round. That should have been. But details. Okay, so I've just tried firing a few random pins to see what happens. It does appear that this machine only plays B-sides at the moment. If you look at the wheel here, there's a pair of pins for every record, and the moment you fire one of these pins, there's a thing called a wobble plate, which is this little gubbins over here. And all that's there to do is detect if one of these pins has been selected. It doesn't know which pin, it just knows that a pin has been selected, and that's enough to set the carriage motor off to start reading it. Either one of these pins will set it off and make it start reading, but for whatever reason the carriage isn't picking up on the A-sides, it's only recognising a B-side. If I hit one of the B-side switches, any one of these on the inner ring, you can see it's searching for it. Carriage comes round, finds it, stops, gripper does its thing, and apart from the turntable not going around, we're in business. If I move the arm to the end, and the carriage goes back to its home position as it should, just like that. However, if I try that with an A-side, and it starts searching for it, you can hear something clicked. I assume that's just the little pin rubbing up against the solenoid arm, but it just keeps spinning and spinning, it never finds it. So that might be a problem with the carriage. Turn that off. So that could be a problem with either the sort of sensey solenoidy gear at the end of the carriage, or it could just be issues with these godforsaken wipers. So we're going to carry on with that and see if I can make it play A-sides. Okay, so there's the readout arm up close and personal. You can see the two solenoids that flick One of these is to flip the switch for the B side, and the other one down there, and that actuates, it moves the A side. You can see there, that's the little gubbins that physically flicks the switch when it's time. There's also, you can barely see it here, but there's one there. See that little thing I'm pointing to with the screwdriver there? That's just a little springy bit there, and there's another one on this side, and this is the pertinent side because this controls the A sides. I thought this was just a little sort of open contact leaf switch type of thing, that when the pin passed it, it would close the contact and activate the solenoid and stop the motor and what have you, but there appears to be only one single wire going to it, so I can only assume that it makes some sort of electrical contact with these pins itself. So I've just tried getting a bit of service oil and a bit of emery underneath where it wipes along here, and hopefully that might improve things a bit. We'll give it a try anyway. Okay, so cleaning and messing about with the readout carriage arm thingy doesn't seem to have done any good, but I think I've spotted what the problem is. If it's in operate mode, let's just flick one of the A sides again. There we go. Now it goes round and round and tries to find it, and it never does. It only plays B sides, and I think the reason for that, if we look in there, see that little switch there? That is called the AB snap switch, and what that thing is supposed to do, that's supposed to go down all the way, and when that's down it's selecting A sides, and when it's up it selects B sides. And as you can see, this cam gear is trying to move, but it never quite manages it, and I think if that went down all the way that would select an A side. So I think the next job is to see is why is this snap switch not running as it should. Right, so if we get in a little bit closer, you can see that this linkage is actually hooked up to the main gear that drives the carousel round, and there's like a sort of cam dog thing that moves this lever up and down, and for whatever reason it's not moving it up and down. So we have to have a closer look and find out why. There we go. If you can just see that greasy bit, the sort of orange greasy bit in the middle of the picture there, that is the dog cam thing that runs on the inside of that carousel wheel, and what should happen is that every single revolution it should fall out of the current groove it's in and slip into the groove next to it. But if we watch it go round, if I just put it into scan, see, it tried, but it didn't quite make it. We'll just let it go round again, and nope, wouldn't quite go. So I wonder if it's just a bit gummed up and needs a bit of degreasing and a bit of lubrication. That might be all it takes just to get it going. Right, well that's annoying. I've just had a look underneath here. I've managed to disconnect the snap switch from all the mechanical bits, but unfortunately it won't come out because the carousel motor's in the way. So that motor that I lovingly put back in a couple of days ago is now going to come back out again. Fun, fun, fun. Right, so I've got it out, and this is the offending article. You can see this little spinny thing here, that sits in the groove that's in the main wheel that drives the carousel round, and it's supposed to sort of move between two grooves, but it doesn't quite go, so I'm hoping this is just a bit too gummed up. It doesn't feel particularly loose, but you know, we'll clean it up. Now that there is a bit of a worry. I've just been pulling out some of that old grease, and sure enough some of it had some hard lumps in it, which are probably metallic, and I think it's probably, you can just see in the middle of the frame there, rather sharp end to that groove, and I think there's a little bit snapped off the end of it. Now whether that's going to be a problem, and maybe that is the reason why the dog isn't spinning and going into the opposite groove like it should, because there's like a fraction of a little bit of cast metal off the end of that groove that appears to have been snapped off. We'll pack it with grease, we'll give it a try. It might work, it might not, but if it doesn't, I'm going to need a new bit of cast metal gear. That'll be fun. Well, before I give up on it as a bad job, I've just tried removing this little, I think it's called a dog, this bit, the bit that slips between the grooves. I've oiled it rather than greased it, and it's really nice and free now, so I'm hoping that might just free things up enough to make it work. We'll see. Okay, I think we've made some progress here. I've just put it back in. I haven't reconnected the motor yet because that means I can spin the carriage by hand. And if I turn it by hand, wait for it, and there we go, that's snapping to the A side now. Give it another complete revolution, should go to side B, there we go. Right, I'm going to try putting the motor back on and we'll give it a go. Well, I've put it all back together. The carousel motor is back where it should be. And so I'll just hit the scan switch. You'll see that's scanning as it should, and if we put it back to operate, it should home without any jumping. Which it does. Question is, have I made it play to side A yet? Let's hit a side A pin, see what happens. Oh, you bastard. Aha! Boom! There we go. That's side A. You'll notice that the gripper is now this way around. It used to be that way, so clearly this way around is side A. I've solved the problem. Let's just put the needle back. Get in. Right, now why is that turntable motor not going round? Is it a dodgy motor? Is it dodgy wiring? Is it a relay underneath? Who knows? I think that's a job for another night. Okay, so it's the following evening now. Done a little bit more tinkering. Trying to work out why that platter motor isn't going round. And the manual, the service manual that comes with this thing, it's not actually very helpful. It doesn't tell you anything much about it other than it's driven off the play relay. Well, that gives us a bit of a clue, because the play relay also controls the motor that runs the record carousel, and that's going round. So that tells us that the play relay is going around and doing what it should. So I've isolated the problem down to the control box here, which is all the power supply bits. If the play relay is working, the motor output comes directly from this box, so the problem's got to be in here somewhere. I've had a bit of a poke around, and it looks like we've got a couple of dead fuses. There's 3 fuses on the front, one of those has popped, and if you open it up inside, there's 3 mounted inside as well, and one of those has popped. So we have some fuses, we're going to put them in and we're going to see what happens. So with the fuses put back where they ought to be, all that really remains is to put some power up it and see what happens. I'd be happy if I knew what those fuses were for, but as I said, there's no mention in the manual of what they're for, and it's not labelled, only what size fuse they are. With a bit of luck, hopefully one of the fuses was running the turntable platter, which would explain why that wasn't going round, and possibly the other fuse was running the motor that runs the right-in carriage. That would explain why that wasn't going round when you hit a selection. We shall find out. It'll either do something or it'll go bang. This is the joy of the unknown. Let's plug it in, see what we get. Okay, well, it's lit up. No bangs or nasty smells. Now, if it's anything like my other Rock-Ola, when you put the carousel into scan, it automatically sets off the platter as well. I think it just hits the play relay. Let's hit scan and see what happens. There, the platter's going round. That's more like it. We have a platter. Let's put it into operate mode. There we go. I suppose, nothing to lose, we could try putting a selection in and see if the carriage works. Oh, I need a longer cable there. So as you can see, it's ready to make a selection. I don't know what that says in German, presumably it means make a selection. Let's go, just try 111 and see if we get anything off the right carriage. 1, 1, 1. Nothing. Okay. Well, it's a start. We've got the turntable running now anyway. Oh, just for the hell of it, I've just put a couple of records into the carousel. And we'll just see if it actually picks up a record and sticks it down on the turntable as it should. Obviously we can't do it by selecting in the old-fashioned way, so we'll have to do it just by flicking a pin. Now I've got one in 104, so if I move that little lever there, that should do it. It spins round once looking for the B side, and then it should come round again looking for the A side, and then grab it. And if we had an amplifier and all the associating wiring, that would be playing a record right now. In particular, I think this is living in a box. But fortunately, because the amplifier's not working, we're not going to get strung up by YouTube copyright here. But we're well on the way to a working machine now. It's poetry in motion. Now, the next big job is going to be getting this actual selection thing to work. Now, why is it not reading in, or writing in, sorry? Is it one of these switches? Could it be one of these? Could it be this little control box down here that's full of SCRs and transistors and things that's something to do with the selection mechanism? Or is it again something to do with the wipers on here? I don't think it is, because the motor's not going round. So why is the motor not going round? That's hidden under there somewhere. Further investigation needed here, I think.